Okay, recording has started. All right, bring up the agenda here. Okay, 6 o'clock Tuesday, January 16th. This is the first quarter meeting of the Land Acquisition Commission, Town of Fairfield. We are having it via conference call due to weather. Commissioners present, we have Tara Hawley, Adam Goodman, Rob Wilkins, and Stephen Zivikoff. And
Correct.
We have Commissioner, Conservation Director Tim Bishop on the line. 6 or 2 o'clock, so let's start the meeting. We'll do a Pledge of Allegiance, however we want to do it, via conference call. Just do it as you wish at your home. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, the Republic for which it stands. Okay. All right. Okay, agenda item number 3, approval of the draft minutes from the October 4th land acquisition meeting. I circulated a copy. Everybody should have one that check their email.
Yeah.
Bring that up here. Motion to approve the October 4th Land Acquisition Commission meeting. Second? All in favor?
I second it.
All in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, moving right along.
Is Cassandra on?
Cassandra, are you on?
I hope she's not going there, but I just wanted to make sure someone was taking minutes. Not that there's too much to talk about yet, but
worst case, she could always get it from the recording.
Yeah.
okay. We're recording, so she can get it from there. That makes sense.
Okay. Old business. Typically, we start with an update from Conservation Director Bishop. It's attached to the agenda here. Tim, you want to give us some highlights of what's happened as far as your progress over the past 3 months?
Sure. Thank you. I'll start off with the first acquisition as of October 20th of 2023. It was after our last meeting. Of 0.63 acres located at 191 Algonquin Road. This parcel was actually 0.72 or something in the beginning. We negotiated with the existing property owner who owns 2 parcels, the adjacent as well. So we made that negotiation, but came away with 0.63 added to our kind of new town effort open space is about 4 acres, known as 150 Villa Avenue. It consisted of 4 parcels, so now there's 5, totaling about 5 acres. This is significant because I believe some of you know about the 150 Villa Ave parcel. It is engineering's project, an engineering department project that is being designed and currently before the Inland Wetland Agency as we speak to create a series of detention ponds in relief of Rooster River flooding. It's in part of a series of various projects on the Rooster River, this being one of them. So it was strategic acquisition to this project will be under Conservation Department, even though engineering is doing the drainage work. But located this, and this will give us strategic access to Algonquin from Villa, but also create an area where, where we can relieve some surface water and road flooding on Algonquin itself. Now that we have this parcel, there's part of the new design is to run culverts through this new lot and feed into the detention project. So not only does it give us physical access and more land, but strategically will contribute to resolving the overall drainage issues in this area. So that was, I guess, the highlight of the last quarter.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Adam. So that's awesome. That's great news. And I was just wondering, how was this acquired? I see they were like 157K back taxes or delinquent in taxes. Was that the leverage or how did the town acquire this property? Did you already discuss this?
No, but exactly that. They had a significant portion of back taxes. I worked to absolve those with the tax collector. Town attorneys, special counsel did the kind of negotiation. We fulfilled the request with just a sliver to kind of straighten out the line, and but we were strategic enough to know that the angles from the catch basins on Algonquin had to be at a certain angle through the property to get to the detention project. So we made sure we had enough street frontage, which was, 40 or 50 feet, something like that. We gave up, I think, 10. So it was almost nothing, but just to kind of make things in the deal go smoother without having to, get ugly or, deal with an enforcement or tax issue. We just gave up, like I said, I think it was originally 0.72 or something. So it was like 1/100th of an acre or something. Insignificant, but it was one I located just looking through, various projects. Since I was reviewing this project from a wetland standpoint, I saw this vacant lot and started asking questions. So that's kind of the genesis of the acquisition.
So, but did they just donate it and we absolved the taxes, or how did the finances work?
Correct. It was physically a donation.
Okay, so the town just accepted the donation, and then was it appraised, or do we have to appraise that or anything? I mean, is it even worth $157,000, or how does that work?
We don't appraise it. We just absolve and take it. Take title.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Moving on to some other highlights. If you see, similar to in the past, updates have been in green. Existing historic activities are in blue. If you have the color copy, going to the top of of my worksheet, 130 Welch Terrace. Tiny parcel on our tidal wetland known as Oldfield Road North. This is a cul-de-sac, Welch Terrace, single-family homes. At the end of this cul-de-sac, there's a 0.05 triangular-shaped undevelopable piece belonging to a deceased property owner. Husband and wife deceased. I spoke with the daughter. Didn't know it was still in the family. They owe almost $11,000 in back taxes. Strategically, it would give my department access to that tidal marsh, where we've been active with installing osprey platforms, nesting platforms for Eagle Scout projects in that marsh. So any access is just generally strategic, and it's obviously a non-conforming lot. It's, average size of like a bedroom, but it does give us an access point there. So currently working with her and town attorneys to close that donation up She's more than willing. I spoke to her on the phone recently, so it's just a paperwork issue now. I last spoke to the 3 properties I spoke about similar. No real updates other than reconnecting with the 240 Red Oak, 300 and 305 Stonewall Lane parcels owned by Laurelbrook Associates. Just a reminder to have the conversation to keep us in mind should she wish to consider donation on those big parcels. And lastly, as of last Thursday, January 11th, I met the appraiser hired by the town, me really, to conduct an appraisal of the 2 parcels adjacent to Perry's Mill Pond open space, known as 798 Sturgis and 816 Sturgis Road. So we did the walkthrough, met with the owner. Again, for those who don't know, 1 vacant lot and 1 lot with a house that total just over half an acre. Strategically would look to have a vacant lot used for parking, school buses, and other users of the open space, specifically Mill River Wetland Committee, are dangerously parked on Sturgis Road to conduct these school-driven activities. And I am not a fan of that, and I'm sure users are not either. So a strategic lot would be a home run. And the parcel with the house, once evaluated, we'll consider. My perfect plan in a perfect world would be to use the house under Conservation Department's jurisdiction, but in a similar fashion to the way Parks and Rec kind of rents out or leases out Penfield Pavilion with to the Board of Ed, to Boys and Girl Scouts, to Mill River Wetland Committee, to Sustainable Fairfield Task Force, any kind of environmental organization that would use the space as a kind of nature's classroom. So right now I have support from you guys in the past. As you know, also Conservation Commission approved it and worked with the First Selectman's office as of Friday. They're very excited, so to have that support is great. Just pending the appraisal and kind of where some of the money's coming from are the next steps. So,
Tim, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is the condition of that house? I drive by and it seems like it's constantly under renovation and like half done. Are we buying like a half done building?
The gentleman who currently owns it, I was very surprised in a positive way when you go by it on the road and see 10 old trucks and vans and Jeeps and stuff in the driveway. He's currently dealing with a blight issue that's being enforced on him by the Blight Commission, and the Health Department and TPZ all have violations. He's pretty much resolved my violation from conservation. But inside I was pleasantly surprised with the condition of the house. I kind of compared it to something you would expect to be in a like Idaho or Montana cabin. Stone fireplace, 2-foot wide, red oak floors, really nice granite countertops and stainless steel appliances, and it's much more impressive inside.
But so we'll make sure it's up to code, and we'll do a building inspection before we offer to purchase this.
Yeah, of course. I'm not there yet. If the appraisal doesn't come out realistic, then obviously we're not going to move to the next step.
Okay.
It's not a demolition, the house? It's worth saving?
It is.
The guy's been working on it.
Yeah, he historically, before his injuries and health, according to him, our conversations, he was a kind of like a fine mill worker in Darien and New Canaan doing luxury homes. So he has the skills, but due to some health issues, that's kind of fallen behind. So, I think the house has a lot of potential. Appraisal first, and then kind of home inspection, and get the town's the building maintenance division involved as well. If the town's not willing to take on another structure for maintenance when it needs a new roof and a paint job and pay for heating and electricity, blah blah blah, then it won't make sense. But if it does, great. It's a lot of people are excited about it. If it does work out, if it doesn't, then somebody I'm sure would buy both lots and do a tear down and put up a 4,000 square foot house. So yes, I should have appraisal as of next week.
Who's doing the appraisal?
That was done by trying to think of her last name. Stephanie. I can't think of her last name right now. Her card's in my desk. One of the firms that the tax assessor uses often. I could get you that name if you're interested.
Is that the same appraiser that does the appraisals for the next topic? I guess I don't know if we're ready to switch phases or not, but I know the fee in lieu of open space discussion. I know we were going to discuss some of that, but I guess on the same topic about these properties, these two properties you're talking about, they would be that would be acquired from the town. I know you said you had the Bill Gerber's support, and I was just wondering, is that from the land acquisition fund? Is that where those acquisitions? Do we have enough money in that account? Or would that come from some sort of general fund? How does that? I guess at some point it would be good to drill down on that. I've been a member of this commission for this is my 7th year, and I still don't know that I have a good handle on that fund and how we can build that fund up so that we can use it for these types of strategic purchases. Because I love these Perry Mill Pond purchases. My one already did the River Lab, and one is going to be doing it next year, I think. So, and I know when they have that there, it just totally jams that parking lot. And even if they have more than 3 or 4 cars of people hiking in that area or fishing, that parking lot's full. So it would be great to have more room there. And I guess I would like to, be able to buy more strategic land like that and get our land acquisition fund increase. So I don't know if you want to respond to how we can even afford to buy that or where that money comes from at this point, but it's a discussion that we should have at some point.
Sure. I could say right now, early discussions, I can earmark about $350,000 from the kind of the planning and zoning land fund. I don't remember what Director Wint told me. We had this discussion kind of in the fall of last year. So I don't recall what the balance was, but at least $350,000 will be earmarked for purchase, which would cover the vacant lot roughly. Just guessing, if the property was to be valued around $1 million, the balance would come from other funds that possibly some leftover ARPA money. But again, those discussions, when actually happens and continues to move forward, would be subject to change. But some of the money would be used for this, from the open space fund.
Gotcha.
Tim, I'm just, because I've got my laptop open in front of me, I'm looking at the old listing, and on the disclosures when the current owner bought it, it is noted there is an underground oil tank, must be removed, 12 to 15 years of age. And it's noted on the listing that there was a buried oil tank.
Yep, I saw it. It's there. It's in use. It would be removed and made a condition of the purchase.
Okay.
There is gas in the street, so that'd be a consideration too. But my 19 years of investigation and remediation, having removed almost 5,000 tanks and spills, I don't want to see the town get involved with that.
5,000?
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot, too.
Tim,
Yeah,
what
it's a lot
year
of
was
tanks.
this house built? What year was this house built, approximately?
According to this, it's 1965.
60. Okay. So there'll be an environmental site assessment, and that'll all be pre-purchased, getting the situation resolved if there's any contamination, so the town doesn't.
Yeah, we don't want to take that on, especially with all the
property.
waterways there.
Mm-hmm. Are there wetlands on the lots?
Yeah, on both
It's in a
lots.
flood zone.
Okay.
And it says septic. Is there sewer there? I mean, do we want to buy a commercial, make something commercial with a septic system? Again, given that it's in a wetlands flood zone? It just seems like a messy property, but.
Yeah, utility conversions would be, in my mind, a strong consideration. And obviously cost.
Right. Yeah, I think that's all got to be factored into our offer to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't sound like you could build a lot on this parcel, these parcels, so that might affect the values, which is good for preservation purposes. Okay. Anyone else have any, Tim, is that the last item that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, that was just going down the worksheet. That was all I had.
Good work, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds exciting with those two in particular. Okay. Next here we have a fee in lieu of open space discussion. Adam had alluded to it. A few things that have concerned us that we want to continue to research, just making sure that that we understand the process. In general, for some of these properties, it wasn't really clear to us whether an appraisal was done, and that we were getting the accurate value, whether it's 10% of the, I believe it's 10% of the assessed value that would be the fee in lieu of open space. Is that correct?
Is that a question for me, Rob?
Yeah, for anyone really.
It's a planning and zoning reg. I'd have to double check.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking too as well to see what the statute said. I don't know what it is either. No, 10. You're right. 10%. Such payment shall be equal to not more than 10% of the fair market value of the land to be subdivided prior to the approval of the subdivision. I guess my question about this was, is that appraisal based on just open space, or is it? I understand it's prior to the approval of subdivision, and maybe this is an easier conversation to have in person, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out if the appraisal takes into consideration the number of lots that are buildable, or is it just an appraisal of open space? Because fair market value, I would think, Tara, right? It would include all. If it's got 5 lots that could be built there, it should be appraised based on that. And I wanted to make sure that that we were getting true fair market value for these subdivisions, so that are the 10% represented.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Ted sent an email, and the reason I remember it is I was looking through these emails. Ted sent an email. I don't know, it might have been 6 months ago when we were talking about this, and he asked that exact thing that I was asking, is how come the appraisal is so low for this property that has room for 5 houses? And so, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, which property are we talking about? Stilson?
No.
I think that's 845 Mill. The one over in Southport, I think, was the one that.
The one off at Mill Hill Road.
Or Mill Hill Road, I believe.
Right,
but,
right.
But
for both of them, I agree.
Yeah,
both of them, yeah.
It shouldn't be off of their purchase price of raw land, or it should be off of its highest and best use.
And there was
exactly, and that's
Steve.
Yeah.
Can I ask one quick question, please? It's my first meeting. Do we have budget to invest in a separate appraisal that's distinct from the current one? On Stilson specifically, they seem to be trying to get away with a very low appraisal.
What is the appraisal there? I don't remember hearing that, but no, I don't know what the answer to your question is, Steve. This is Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
But the thing is, if you look at the statute, it says it's. I think it might be up to the tax collector, and this is probably something Tim can add. I think the tax collector or the appraiser or somebody in town hall is responsible for ordering this appraisal or coming up with the fair market value. So I don't know if it's in our best interest to have competing appraisals, because no two appraisers are going to agree on the same price. So I don't think it would be the right move to have competing appraisals if we're both on both with the town. That may not make sense, but I understand what you're saying.
But they should be within 10% of each other.
Sure. And have we even seen any of these appraisals? I don't remember ever seeing an appraisal for any of these subdivisions.
No, and I think we need to see these appraisals and be informed when they're ordered, and when they're completed. Obviously, it does say in the charter, dating back to the late '90s, that the Land Acquisition Commission has the right to request an appraisal in these situations. It seems like it's being done, but we need to be part of the process and see it, when it's finished. I don't know what the number was for Stilson or the other project. New to me that it came in at $1 million. That seems low.
I mean, it wasn't until Tim came on board that we started even getting asked about these questions, and I appreciate this. This is a great role for our commission to serve, to share an opinion about these things, and I'm glad that we're involved in the process now. And so I don't know. So we're still learning about it, and we don't have all the answers in terms of where these numbers come from. So I agree with you, Rob.
I think it would be helpful if we had either Director Wint or Assistant Director Harrigan join maybe the next meeting to ask him some of these questions on the record, and kind of have the discussion about the PSCD and the in lieu of fund, since those are all kind of run through TPZ and the Planning and Zoning Commission. If that's helpful to you guys.
No, that sounds like
Absolutely.
a great idea. That'll just give us some clarity, which I think is what we're looking for here.
Because then you could ask where this commission could come in. At what point in an application can this commission come in, kind of either in an advisory or review capacity to ask questions and possibly get involved more than we have been in the past. They would know those answers. I don't. Just a thought.
No, sounds promising.
Yeah. This is Adam. I just, it's funny now that everybody has access to their computers. It's a lot easier to look up these things instead of when you're in
person. I have to bring
person.
my laptop from now on.
Right. And so I just found the email I was referring to was October 29th, 2023. Actually, Rob wrote it to me, Cassandra, and Ted, and it was basically just looking at the this 845 Mill Hill Terrace property. And Rob, just to refresh your memory, you said that you found another lot in Southport, similar size, that went for 1.75, and that this 845 Mill Hill Terrace property, it could have multi-million-dollar appraisal, being, having a room for five lots. And with that calculation, we could be due $200,000 to $300,000 into our land acquisition fund, as opposed to just $92,000. And the land acquisition fund, we only got $92,000 for that property. It just seems kind of weird, and I wonder what sort of accountability there is for that sort of thing, because we're all working for the same team in terms of the town and the who's ordering these appraisals and all that sort of thing. So anyway,
the town field card has it appraised right now at $906,907.
That's where the $92,000 came from.
Yeah.
10%.
But that's an that's not a fair market value, is it?
No, but I'm just saying that's what the town looks at it as. That's the town's fair market value.
That's coming from the tax assessor.
Yeah, that's coming from the tax card, and that may be an old number, perhaps from 2020 when they did the 5-year reassessment. 2022. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, look, guys. If you look at the statute, and you can look it up, it's 2-2.3.8, payment of fee in lieu of open space, Fairfield subdivision regulation, and I can send you guys this clip, but it's online, and in the middle it says the fair market value shall be determined by an appraiser jointly selected by the commission and the subdivider. So I guess the builder has a role in selecting this appraiser also, but the commission is, I don't know who the commission is. The commission may require a subdivider to pay a fee. I guess that's the Planning and Zoning Commission, is my guess.
Correct.
And so, yeah, right. So, where are these appraisals? And it should not be the field card, right? Tara, that field card is not an accurate value of fair market value.
No, I agree. I'm just telling you what the town said it was, just to make sure they're at least supporting their own field card. They're not. The field card doesn't say 1.5, and then we only got 92,000.
Right. No, I understand the numbers match what they said on the field card, but I don't. I guess historically, is that, I don't know if Tim knows or anybody knows if is that how these fair market values have been derived, is from the field card to determine what the payment in lieu of open space would be?
It sounds such. It doesn't.
Well,
I could be wrong, but
if they put 5 homes in there, I mean, that's at least $3 million. At least. I mean, lots right now are 600. I don't know. I mean, if you look back from when they built them, conservatively 400, so it should have been $2 million.
Yeah. So it should have been more. Yeah, and it's something that
the big question is it its current use, or is the appraisal its highest and best use? And do we collect 10% of its highest and best use, or its current use? That's
a really good point. And
that's what our town code says. It should be highest and best. It should not be current use.
Okay.
If we want to
this is the
maximize
sentence.
dollars.
I mean, I think this is a sentence, and it's right above the one I read a second ago, and it says, in the event that such fee is required by the commission, such payment shall be equal to not more than 10% of the fair market value of the land to be subdivided prior to the approval of subdivision. So I have been doing. I'm fairly new to the appraisal game, but I've been doing a lot of appraisals for my job with the Apatuck Land Trust, because we can't buy land more than the appraised value, because it can be considered a private normant, and so we basically are bound somewhat to the appraisals. And I understand that when you're appraising a property with 30 buildable lots, you have to take that into consideration, just like you said, Tara, best use. And so it doesn't matter whether the property has been approved for subdivision. It should still appraise out high if conversations with town officials or planning and zoning determine that no special permit or no amendments are required in order to subdivide these properties. If it's not speculative and that these properties can be subdivided under the existing regulations, it should appraise out based on that subdivided lots, regardless of approval. That's how I read it. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, the way you
No,
read
it
it to
does.
me, it
I think
sounded
so.
like it was the reverse, though, that it was, prior to its highest and best use.
But okay, yeah, fair market
But
value
the
of the
town
land to
should
be
change it.
If that's true,
Well,
yeah,
that's
it should be.
typical.
I agree
Yeah.
completely with that. I agree completely. It should be changed to the best, highest use.
I mean, it's basically saying that the fair market value of the land prior to approval for subdivision is as open space or as one lot as opposed to 5 lots. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
the way it reads right now. It sounds like it's in its current state.
Prior to approval of the subdivision means to you that you can't value multiple lots on there.
Well, you're looking at it as its current state.
Yeah, before it's subdivision, so it would just be a situation with one
Right.
lot,
Well,
one house. But
Well, look, this
so,
would be, we haven't, in the 7 years I've been on this commission, we haven't changed any statute or anything like that. But that doesn't mean we can't do it. I think it would be a great contribution if, in fact, we could get that accomplished. And so I think that should be one of our goals, since it sounds like we're all in agreement that we should be getting the value of what the property is really worth.
Well, and I think Tim would probably
that.
say, but I think some people would say it becomes cost prohibitive to development. Okay, fair enough. But when you're putting in these huge, 30 unit, 200 unit deals that are going to be popping up all over, maybe it should be over a certain amount of units, like anything north of, 10 units. Maybe not.
I actually, if I may, the issue to me on Stilson, just by looking as an outsider, is that it was based on 10 homes or 9 homes to circumvent it. And I think by listening here, it's very reasonable for us to go forward as a commission to say, there's a big difference between those two levels. And maybe we can look at, like you said earlier, ensuring that the valuations are reasonable going forward. And yes, we do deserve, whether it's 10% of a $2 million valuation versus a much lower valuation, that should be part of the process. And even though we haven't done it in 7 years, I think we're all onto something right now.
Yeah.
Good conversation.
How much do we get for the Stilson property? And by the way, we voted on Stilson to take the money because we didn't think that the open space was worthy of taking. But Tara, what you're saying, you're kind of implying that, well, woe is the builder. Oh, the poor builder is not going to be able to make enough money if they have to give us all this money for the money in lieu of the set aside. But perhaps that encourages builders to give us the set aside then, and we can get some property.
Yeah.
And
well,
it looks like at Stilson, they circumvented some stuff there by saying, "Oh shucks, it's only 9 homes versus 10," and a lot was left on the table, and it's very easy for us to go back with the spreadsheet and look at, like you said, here's the past 2 deals where it was appraised at $900,000, but it really should have been $3 million. I think it's all justifiable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I guess the real question is, if you put the property on the open market, what would somebody be willing to pay for it? And clearly somebody was willing to pay a lot for it because they could develop it.
That's the highest and best use that we're ultimately looking for. And then I was just going to say,
Rob,
what about 1030G and these developers?
The 830G?
Building 830G, excuse me. I mean, that adds even, these properties, the big ones, are even in more demand, given the option to build out some of these multifamilies under that law.
Yeah, they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah. depending on the size of the lot, they'll fit it in. So they can.
Yeah, so for like a lot like that, that's just a drop in the bucket to them.
Well, I think we've gotten into a lot of detail here, and I did want to say I got an email from the selectman's office, and we've been invited to talk with Bill Gerber. We penciled in February 9th, I believe, at 11 a.m. So we can bring this up with Bill, among other things, introducing ourselves and talking about the commission in general. But yeah, this is important. So it sounds like we're all on board to try to make some headway with it.
Rob, do you remember how much we got for the Stilson property? So how much in lieu of open space we got? Or anybody? Does anybody remember? Because I don't remember a number on that. I know we voted to.
Is it like 90,000 or something?
Yeah, yeah. It was something ridiculous. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I don't remember the number. But 10 homes is pretty crazy.
That number stood out to me, and in the past couple months, since I'm new to the committee, I'm wondering, gosh, I drive by that all the time. They claimed it was going to be smaller. It's going to be 10 homes, at least $1 million each, and I'm looking at the 90,000.
$1 million? They're going on for 1.8.
Well, I'm being super conservative here.
Yeah.
So if essentially on an 18 million we could be looking at 1.8 million to open land, it gives us a negotiation position going forward gently to say, oh shucks, based on this being a farmhouse 90 years old with nothing in it and you're building 10 houses, to my outside position, it looks like they kind of got around it a lot by claiming they're only going to build 9 instead of 10 homes. But I'd like to look into that more in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can even just stipulate a, like a 0.25% fee at the end of the sale when it transacts. Then you don't have to go up the price at the beginning.
Or compare those two elements or something like that so that it's not being gamed and that we can have a budget that's reasonable when people are building $15 million developments and gaming us.
Yeah.
And do we know that the money that was taken in from those 2 subdivisions, do we know for sure that it made it into the land acquisition fund for the town? That is another big thing, because that statute, I believe that statute indicates that it says such fund shall be used. It's a little more detail that I don't want to go into, but I think I don't know if all of the money is supposed to go into the a fund for the purpose of preserving open space. But it sounds like it says a fraction of such payment, the numerator of which is 1 and the denominator of which is the number of approved lots in the subdivision. Interesting. Shall be made at the time of the sale of each approved lot. So that's interesting. So we get nothing. Wow. So if there's 10 lots and we get $100,000, only $10,000 is going into the fund for preserving open space. That's crazy.
Space that could use some work. I'd like to get some advice on that because I use that space and it could really be upgraded. And I'd love for us to review that particular situation going forward. I could take the lead on it as well.
I mean, we're talking. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask if Tim's on. What do we know what other towns charge? Have we ever looked and compared ourselves to, say, Greenwich, Darien, New Canaan, Westport? I mean, are we like the cheap ones that it's more affordable for developers and that's why they all come this way as far as fees and permits? And
I could only speak to Conservation Department. This fee in lieu of is run through planning and zoning, so I don't know.
Yeah. I just wonder if we're just easier on developers that, because I just feel like we have so much going on here.
But that's
I think it would be another good discussion with the director.
Yeah.
I just don't know that.
There's probably something similar or not, but we should research towns next door. We can see what's going on in Westport or Darien.
Great question, Tara.
Yeah.
Because at least that would be somewhat of a precedent, if we found out that it's vastly different. It would be pretty easy to look up their. I think it should be pretty straightforward to look up their statute. But I guess I didn't really read our statute careful enough. The fact that we're getting a fifth of the small donation or a tenth of the small donation is just absurd. I mean, literally, with those two subdivisions, we added like under $20,000 to our fund, which says shall be used solely for the purpose of preserving open space. Well, that's a joke. You're not going to get anything for. How long would it take to build up? How many subdivisions would it take to build up enough money to buy the properties that Tim wants to get on Perry Mill Pond? I mean, I'm surprised we even have $350,000 in the fund at that rate. That seems absurd, unless I'm reading the statute wrong. But I think that this is a major topic of something that we should work on with, and maybe talk to Bill Gerber about it, see if there's a way we can change this to benefit the town, not the developer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, Adam, but it was my understanding that the subdivision that was was discussed with the 92,000 versus the space was that fund was getting 92,000, but
good.
I could ask that, but when I had this discussion with Jim Went, looking at what the balance was and how much I could take out without wiping it out. 350 was a number with knowing that another 100-something thousand was coming in, which is probably already in the account by now. So there, it sounds like it's replenishing in huge chunks. I'm not sure we're getting the town's getting depositing money in small percentages of the total. Is my understanding. I don't know, but again, that's would be a great question to get it explained from someone at TPZ at one of our meetings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my department, so I this is kind of new to me as well.
And we appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah, Adam, this is the P&Z Land Fund, which we just want to learn a little bit more about, and how that relates. That is the Land Acquisition Fund. Sounds like they're probably one of the same, but we'll learn more.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Moving along here. New business. Vote on the 2024 slate of directors, chair, vice chair, and secretary. I spoke with Adam and Cassandra. Myself, this is Rob. I'm currently the chairperson, and we would be open for being on board as chair, vice chair, and secretary again for another year. Motion to approve the 2024 slate of directors to be the same as the 2023.
I'll second, or I'll
second. All in favor?
I say aye to that as well.
Sorry. Yep. Aye.
All in favor. I'm in favor.
Same here. Glad to serve. Okay, approved. All right. So,
and how many did you guys get sworn in yet?
Well,
yes, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adam, you got sworn in?
Yes, I did.
Did Cassandra was she? he was up to, right?
I think you just have to go into the county clerk and they do it. Or maybe the tax collector. I forgot which one it is.
If you go see Betsy Brown at town clerk, she's the one that handles it.
Yeah.
Anytime during the day.
Okay. Vernal pool discussion. Acquiring properties with the most ecological value. I know Tim and the rest of us are passionate about vernal pools and trying to save any and all of them in town. I guess the question is, are they mapped? Is there anything that that we can do to promote acquiring these valuable properties? As far as figuring out the ecological value, is there any technological developments, Tim, that have been occurring to kind of zero in on what would be the best properties to look at? Is there anything that we want to look at as LAC?
A couple questions in there. Yes, they have been mapped. I started a mapping project last year, and we're, I think, the second town, if not the first, to put it on a GIS layer in the state. I located and mapped 18 confirmed and unconfirmed pool locations on private and town property. I was invited to present the project at the Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists annual meeting coming up in March, so I'm excited about that. I bet a lot of other towns reach out to me already asking how. So part two of your question, how I did it was with using some poorly handwritten notes from the department that were from April of 2000, that I found in a folder. I use aerial imagery. We have a really good program that a lot of the departments share through Nearmap. They do 2 flyovers a year, one during the growing season, one off growing season. Mainly strategically used in my department for looking at violations, but also similarly the tax assessor uses it for similar purposes. So using technology like that, I think in big picture wise, when I kind of find a parcel that's of interest for whatever purpose, whether it's ecological protection or strategic proximity to existing open spaces, wetlands are the first thing I look at, and I'll look at it using some of this technology. Proximity to maybe existing mapped open spaces, vernal pools, or maybe find a new one that's visible from the air, which is possible at the right time. Looking at topography, obviously it's forested. I'm not going to find one off a reef road. Similarly, the 1207 Congress Street, that's on our worksheet. I haven't walked it, but using those same technologies and driving by slowly without getting rear-ended on the Merritt, I could see it, which looks from a distance as a vernal pool, meeting the definition. So that one, again, as you guys know, is being foreclosed on, and we'll take control of that 3 acres. Hopefully very shortly. I have a call with town attorney this week, Thursday, to go over a lot of the properties in the crosshairs that are on this list, scheduled for foreclosure from the previous law firm representing the town, under the prior administration. I think just big picture-wise, looking at properties, the problem is it's difficult to specifically target properties for the pools because the ones that are mapped are known and already owned. If there was something to, for example, there's 4 of them that we located on Audubon's property off of Burr Street. Those I'm comfortable are going to be well protected. Similar on our town's open space. And if you walk into Brentwoods at all, as of last week, I installed a couple signs telling the public, asking them, it's restricted amphibian breeding habitat. Can you please keep your dog out between February and June? There's something similar like that, since it's just, a higher foot traffic area in town property that, maybe they'll be a little more respectful and not disturb the pools during breeding season. So again, I can't protect the pools if we don't know where they are. So it's a little bit chicken and an egg to target properties for acquisition, whether they have pools or not. So usually I find the property before I look to see what it has. If it ever came the other direction and said, "Oh, this property has a pool," then I would make that a higher priority. I guess to answer that part of the question. So either way, it's pretty exciting. They're extremely delicate resource. They're already regulated and protected under the town's and the state's wetland regs. But if I don't have something started and don't know where they are, you can't protect what you don't know. So we have a foundation so far. The word's getting out. One person already called and said about a month ago and said, I think there might be one over here. Check it out. I mean, I might be chasing, it might be a wild goose chase, but if it's worth it and people are willing to work with the town, just letting me verify its existence, it's really all I need to know. So, but yeah, if you go on to my department's homepage, there's on the left side there's a column for mapping and mapping tools. First one on there is town's GIS. If you go through to check boxes in different layers, you'll see a vernal pool layer with 2 different colors for confirmed and unconfirmed. The only reason why there's some unconfirmed is one, I couldn't get to them on certain people's private property. I could only view them from the road. And others, it was just the timing. We were in June, and it was pretty much out of breeding season, so those will be verified this spring. And that's about it, really, from my end. But obviously, high priority, critical habitat, preserving protection, and if I could find one, and it'll be exceptional to acquire that parcel, regardless of adjacency or anything else, really.
Well, it's very informative. Thanks. We support you in the effort.
Thank you.
Does the DEEP do they have an inventory that's useful to you, or as far as pools, or is it just endangered species or in wetlands?
Unfortunately, this state has nothing at the state level. If you go to Massachusetts, they have a statewide layer for their a GIS layer for their pools. This state's just behind with so much that when I started this and was aware that Massachusetts had it, it's like if I can't, obviously it's not going to exist for the state, but I could do it for this town, and that's kind of what was the driver. And was able to expand, at least create the baseline, so we have something to go off of, which I think 18 is pretty good. but it's got to start somewhere. So as I I'm here longer and locate other things through the permitting process or verifying in the field, then we'll add to it. But at least we could track them. Just want to know where they are. There's not any consequences for a private homeowner to let us know that they have it, because again, it's protected as wetlands anyway. So it doesn't change how their property's regulated under the regulations. So it's just good to know that where they are, and if there was a development uphill from a pool and we didn't know about it, there could be adverse impacts and consequences. So at least we're starting to figure out where they are and document it with geolocation, so it's very accurate, from GPS coordinates.
Cool.
Hey, Tim, this is Adam. I'm really happy to hear about all the traction that you're getting on this project. I think that's pretty cool. And I guess my initial reaction was like somewhat of concern, and I'm wondering if you share any of the same concern about how sensitive the habitat is and having it on maps where people might want to go seek out these locations for, I don't know, what purposes, maybe to check out some salamanders. But is that a concern at all about publicizing it? I mean, it sounds like you said, Massachusetts has already done it, and so maybe it's not a thing. I guess I'm just concerned about the average Joe trouncing around in those areas. Obviously, it'd be great to have an inventory of them. I think that's very valuable. I just worry about the general public. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, it was a concern. But some of the pools that are, let's take town open space, since there's 4 of them in Brett Woods. I hope to think that a lot of people using the open space on a hike, going for a hike on a trail, or walking with their dog, are somewhat nature-minded, but they might not know that puddle in the woods is critical or not. While I was out there with my hip boots on last February and March, I was walking carefully through a pool, but on the Yellow Trail in Brett Woods, I think there was, at least while I was documenting egg masses and frog, for wood frogs and salamanders, I think 3 times that somebody's, lab or golden came blasting through the water. Did they step on destroying the eggs? I don't know. So in a way, it's kind of, I wouldn't, people can do harm to things that they don't know about and do harm to things that they do. So I would rather, I guess, put the education out there, or at least the availability, and have the ability to track things and monitor things. Let's say if I didn't have that ability and couldn't enforce it, or couldn't protect it because I didn't know about it, then it could get destroyed. If I at least know about it, know where it is, and can monitor it, and then I could use other techniques and protective measures to protect it. If it's a problem in Brett Woods and I got to put up a fence around it, for 4 months, then I'll put up a fence that's conducive to amphibian migration in and out of it, but keep out the golden retrievers. Hey,
what's the problem with golden retrievers?
It's America's favorite dog, I know. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a concern. That's one thing I'm going to talk about during my PowerPoint slide presentation. But I think the benefits outweigh the risks. And I mean, let's be honest. Out of the 60,000 people in the town, how many of them can accurately operate the GIS and its layers? It's I'll take the chances with that, and hope that more people are are interested and would want to know if they did, or maybe kids in universities or high schools or something as kind of an educational piece, or, oh, I heard about this, I want to go see it, let's do a class field trip or something, whatever. And more people would be like, oh, let's check it out, we want to learn about it, protect it, be vocal about it, instead of hey, we're going to go steal all the spotted salamander eggs in March, and throw them in the garbage or something. I mean, what are you really going to do? I guess if there's bad people everywhere, then, right. I don't know. But again, if I don't know where things are, then I can't protect it. So I just think that outweighs the risk.
Understood.
With Brett Woods, is anything marked, or would you mark anything to keep those bad retrievers out of the area if possible?
Yeah, as of not last week.
Yeah.
Last week, signs went up at 2 of them that are adjacent to trails. You'll see them. Says critical amphibian breeding habitat. It has the red circle with the line through it with a dog silhouette, and says, please keep your dogs out between February and June.
Perfect.
Hopefully it'll also kind of stimulate, hey, why are I already got one email within 24 hours of the signs going up of, oh, what's this about? Blah, blah, blah. So, it'll get the visibility. The ones at Lake Mohegan are off the main trails, which is reassuring, since that gets the most foot traffic, and has the most, that space is, as large as it is, has the most problems for my department. Signs are up. But again, there's a good portion of them that are in people's front yard or backyard, in a single family, residential zone, that I met with some people, and they're like, oh yeah, great, come on in my backyard, check it out. And, I found egg masses, or I found fairy shrimp, or, one guy had an abandoned swimming pool at the north end by the eastern border, and he had eggs and tadpoles on his abandoned swimming pool. So I said, now technically I'm regulating your pool, you can't rip it down. So he was really nice, he loves it, whatever. So it's kind of a mix of private and public. So I think it's on the positive side right now.
Well, I look forward to myself going to the website and reading a little bit more about them. So, that sounds great.
I did make a tab there, and for those that do use it, the other mapping tool, the other tab that I mentioned, mapping tools, is could be extremely helpful for a bunch of people with that use aerial photos or other layers, or environmental layers. I know, Rob, you probably know CT Eco by heart, but
of course,
there's some other ones on there like Web Soil Survey from USDA, or some other aerial providers through Yukon and whatnot. So if anyone ever gets another icy snow day at home and is bored, you'll be sure to check out that tab on my homepage.
Absolutely. Okay, moving along here. The POCD, Plan of Conservation and Development, that's still in draft form. I had a chance to look at it. I don't know if anybody else has looked at it in detail, regarding what it is, what it means to us, what we can do, what comments we want to provide during its development. I think it's moving along at a snail's pace. I could be wrong, but there are it doesn't come out frequently, and this is our opportunity to add some language and revise some language. So if anyone don't know if anyone's got anything to discuss right now about it, or we could postpone until April and take a deeper dive into it before then. Adam, I know you're interested, very interested in seeing this thing evolve. Did you have a chance to look at it? Is there anything you wanted to discuss regarding the draft document?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the POCDs are done every 10 years. They're required by state law to be redone every 10 years. And I think that the Fairfield one is due in 2 years, or a little over 2 years. I know that the previous first selectman had some information sessions to the public to hold on one second. She needs me badly. Okay. And so I know that there was already some information sessions that the previous first selectman had, and I'm sure Bill Gerber, the new first selectman, is going to be interested in it. There's some major changes that are happening in our town with this new POCD, and I think it's just another opportunity for us as the Land Acquisition Commission to have an impact and have a positive impact and help the town really hone in on what we value as a town. And I just want to, if you don't give me for 1 second. Okay. Okay. Sorry, my wife is my wife's in law school, and she had her in-person class canceled, so that she's on Zoom and needed help. But all I was going to say is that as we are the Land Acquisition Commission, and I think that we have a unique opportunity to have a role in the POCD in a way that we haven't had previously. And what I mean by that, and like Rob said, we can talk more about this in April. I know this meeting's going on, but if what is the plan of conservation and development? Well, conservation is in there. Like, that's got to be a pretty big part of this plan, not just development, right? It's both. It's conservation and development. And I just want to make sure that the conservation side of this POCD is substantial and isn't not just mentioned on a half a page. And so the idea that I had was in other towns' POCDs, I've been reading quite a few of them over the past couple of years, because every time you write a grant, they want to make sure that the proposal you're making in the grant application is in line with that town's POCD. And one thing that's really helped us, in the land trust, help us acquire properties is when the property you're trying to acquire is listed in the POCD as a priority property to protect. And just a quick example that I have, and then I'll shut up about this, is in Monroe, we just recently formed a partnership with the town to preserve this 65-acre farm. And we wrote a grant to the state for this acquisition that I know Tim was well aware of, the Oswald grants. And one of the contributing factors, I think, for us being able to get this grant, we haven't been awarded this grant. We won't find out until June. But it's in the Monroe POCD is a map that shows all of their priority properties of interest, the properties that they want to protect. And this property that we wrote the grant for is listed in this POCD. And so I said to myself, well, what about my town? What does our POCD look like? Do we have a map? Do we have any properties that the town would like to acquire, or that we would just like to acquire in general, whoever acquires it? And the answer is no. There was no map. There was no properties identified. And what I was just going to throw out there is, I think the Aspetuck Land Trust would be more than willing to share our properties of interest with the town if it means preserving it. In my opinion, whoever preserves it, it doesn't have to just be the land trust or the town. I think as long as these are protected, for the benefit of the public, then and forever, I think that it's a win-win. So I just think it would be this is a good opportunity. This POCD is going to be rewritten. There's already a draft of it, and this would be a good opportunity for us to chime in and have a positive influence. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Adam. I agree. If Aspetuck has something that they could share with us, we could pass it along to Tim, and we could eventually get something in the POCD, and then for the next 10 years or however long it is, will be something to fall back on as far as properties that are officially qualified properties that can be pursued, that have the backing of Aspetuck, conservation, anyone interested in acquiring the best properties for open space. So,
guys, it's Tara. I have to.
Tara?
Oh, sorry. I've just got to hop off, guys.
Okay. Thanks for joining.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Bye.
No problem. Bye, Tara.
Bye. So we'll definitely do that. Anything else? I think maybe we should try to, if there's another workshop, we should try to attend somebody from the commission, just to get a feeling of, how else we can participate. I know they had one last July. Maybe there's something else coming up this year, so we look out for that.
And something to mention to Bill Gerber, possibly. I think this is a topic he might be interested in.
Mm-hmm. Just wrapping up here, public outreach initiatives. Adam and I are going to meet with Selectman Gerber on February 9th, and we'll talk about the POCD and some of these issues regarding fee in lieu of open space. I think those are priorities for us this year. Anybody else have anything else? We could still do, if there's an Earth Day, we could have a booth there. I know we tried to do that last year, but if the event got rained out, we weren't around. Any other outreach initiatives people are interested in?
Probably, Tim. I know a lot of the conservation commissioners were happy and successful at that Earth Day event. I had purchased a banner for them for their table from a local printer, and they just had some trinkets and a bluebird house, a bat house giveaway, stuff like that. So they said the foot traffic was decent and just good for PR and visibility. So for what that's worth, could support the commission come that time, with whatever you need if he decides to do something like that.
Okay. Do we know if it's in? Is it happening in May, or does anybody know? It's around Earth Day, which is late April. I guess we'll have a meeting beforehand, but I think
if I hear any chatter, I could circulate it.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything to add, discuss? I know we had a long meeting here, but I think it was very productive. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Welcome aboard. Still there?
Yes, thank you very much. I had one observation, if I may. For the meeting with the new first selectman, is there a priority that we have regarding perhaps the revenues being analyzed by previous valuation versus maximum, whether we're looking at the long-term planning issues? I was wondering if there was a priority for that meeting for what we wanted to truly accomplish.
Well, I think we want to sort out our understanding of the rules and the allocation of funds, and just make sure that it's clear for us moving forward. I don't know what we can do as far as anything that's already been appraised or funds have transferred. I do think that we do need to make mention of the fact that if things change as far as the proposed development, that we need to be made aware of that. We don't want any bait and switch going on with development of any parcels. I think that's your question, right? Did I answer
Absolutely. And
Okay.
to me, if we led with that, I think that would be wonderful because it leads to more assets to be put into use, and we have some real. Tara made some really wonderful points earlier in terms of just looking at how some of these parcels are really, kind of jipping our funding.
Right. No, I think it's a big priority for us, just to get an understanding of all of this, because we really don't seem to be definitely not experts on it, and we want to be. Adam, did you have anything else, or?
I feel like I've spoken enough tonight, but no, thank you. I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Right.
No, I thought it was a productive meeting, and I look forward to a new term, a good new term.
Great. And I'll work on minutes. I may have some questions for those of us that were in attendance, just to make sure I get it down what we went over. No, that's right.
Sure.
Okay. 7:22 here. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for attending, Tim. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, appreciate everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.